actually woke up this morning to the news. Somehow you tend to be constantly worried that nothing particularly novel would be coming out because of the extreme positions that have been taken by both sides. So I only woke up to the news this morning, and I wasn't entirely surprised. Because you see, the challenge with this e-levy thing, I think the executive is underestimating the resolution of the minority side, who, by the way, have equal numbers in parliament, to not necessarily to disrupt government business, but to ensure that the best interest of the Ghanaian is secured. At least, I can say that in parables. So the way I see the problem and the solution ahead, so the president to man up and offer the concession. See, this is the type of politics we practice clearly makes the presidency powerful. So until the executive decides to show, at least make some concession on the e-levy, I don't think this will end naturally. And I don't want to blame. So my point is, I'm not even interested in blaming the majority leadership of parliament for not necessarily doing a good job. I think they should stand up to the president and tell the president, look, the only way this thing is going to work is to offer concessions. But any other thing, you'll just be wasting our time.
So you think at this point, the president is the solution?
The executive and the president are the solution. If you thought that about 48 hours ago or 72 hours ago, it was basically saying that the majority in parliament, it's marked off a certain sense of, come high or low, we are definitely going to get our way through. And that makes me wonder, because at least you should know that times are not the same. The parliament we have is not the parliament of yesteryear. So everything comes down to the executive. After all, they are introducing the bill. I've told you that my suspicions about the rates for the levy are founded in the fact that it's completely unnecessary to say you are taxing us to invest in some entrepreneurship schemes. Those schemes are not schemes. They are just scams to below money. You know it, and they know it. So on that basis alone, at least make some concessions. If you say you are going to construct roads, maybe, but to tell me that you want to take a tax and set up entrepreneurship, but what's the sense in it? You at the same time you say that you don't have enough money to prosecute development. Then you get the money, then you say you want to create entrepreneurship. Yours is to just ensure that people have the ability, have the conditions to get into business. We all know from NDC days that all these schemes are scams. We are aware. So this is not to come and tell us anything that you want to create employment, but that's what is getting me infuriated the more. Otherwise, a part of me was sympathetic to the e-levy, at least a reduced percentage. So on that basis alone, I think the president should come down and say, look, guys, I'm ready to shave off maybe 0.75% of the levy as a start. And let's see what the minority will say.
And you believe until then, what is happening in Parliament will continue? Because the minority seems bent on ensuring that even if a vote happens, it is done under the law and properly. And they are ready to use even fiscal force to ensure that?
Well, I'm not suggesting and I'm not supporting fiscal attacks. None of that. I'm just saying that the stalemate without the fisticuffs will continue. And not just for the e-levy, but for other things that might come down the line, So this is important that the matter gets resolved. And the only way I see it at this juncture, so the executive will say, look, guys, we offer this concession. I'm aware that the hole in the budget is big, but that hole cannot be cured by a part of the money being used to prop up schemes that are simply scams. I'm not interested in hearing that. So on that basis alone, they should offer some significant concession on the e-levy. And let's get the country moving.
You talk about the president. Do you think he's shown enough leadership in this matter? Because this stalemate has been on for a while. From the very beginning, Haruna Idrisu said the indication they are getting from their constituents is that they should not tolerate this at all. At that point in time, should the president have even walked in throughout all the discussions, asked that some concessions be made?
On the contrary, I don't think the president is listening to the persons who voted for him. But as far as I can tell, a majority of NPP people themselves are not happy about the turn of events. So if the minority say they are listening to the constituent, they seem to have to be on the higher moral ground than my good friend the president, who appears to hear no evil, see no evil at all. And I'm worried because it's the same posture he adopted over the South matter. I don't think he's even spoken about it, probably just in passing. So I don't know whether to say it's a character thing, but certainly I don't think he's shown leadership on this particular one.
Well, you said, and whilst we were just talking, you said that initially you had a little bit of sympathy when the matter of the e-levy comes up. You thought it could have been dialogue through, but now you have lost that sympathy for it because of what you're hearing they plan to use it for?
Oh, but I remember, I think I mentioned to you that part of that being used for the entrepreneurship thing, the last time we spoke, that I didn't think it was a wise idea. But my point I'm making is that given that there's been so much heat, at least just on that basis alone, let's have a conversation and say, look, I know this is getting into levels we all don't agree with. So let's make a concession. Let's talk to the opposition. And we are ready to calm down a bit. And then let's take it from there. And to the extent that nothing has been heard, it marks off some sort of obstinacy. All I'm saying is that I'm aware that the challenge is that there's a gap, there's a big hole in there, but there's a big deficit which needs closing. And somehow an e-levy looks like a more democratic way of taxing people. But at the same time, it must be fair, especially now that especially just as you are starting it. So that's the basis on which I'm saying that I think there's been too much strong-headedness on the part of the executive. And I think they should hunker down.
You also say that you readily not blame those on the majority side, the leadership on the majority side, but are they also not, at least at some point, we understand the fact that they have to push government business, but at some point, should they not also think about perhaps the popular opinion from even their constituents?
Exactly, which is why I'm saying that at this juncture, they should just stand up to the president The reason why I said I wasn't blaming them was because, you know, it's a presidential thing, it's an executive thing. There's a type of democracy we have. The president gets whatever he wants. But at this juncture, the parliamentary leadership on the side must be ready now to tell him, say, let's negotiate properly from a position of, it will still be a position of strength, but from a position where you can get consensus and get this done quickly.
Let me end by asking you a question. I know perhaps you said you didn't, you woke up to perhaps watch the videos and the news of what transpired in Parliament yesterday. Did you also hear about the point where the first deputy speaker decided to, after the second deputy speaker had voted in a division, the first deputy speaker decided to pass the baton to the second deputy speaker so that he can go and vote? Did you hear about that? What do you make of it?
Yeah. I heard about that. I thought it was funny. It was just gimmicks. I didn't think it was something serious at all. I don't think in it. I'm sure I don't know what word to use, but just as I said, I found it very funny. If it was not a gimmick.
But he would have gone ahead with it, but for the fact that the other side decided to engage in what they did to stop him from doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. So once they know the rules, they just needed to apply it. I didn't think it was a way of mastering to strategy at all. It wasn't even the perfect strategy. It was just a childish, amateurish strategy.
Childish and amateurish. First deputy speaker.
Say that again.
That is coming from a first deputy speaker. You're calling it childish and because he seems he's on proper constitutional grounds.
Oh, but clearly, I mean, clearly, this didn't make sense. I mean, it's not as if he's absent or something. I mean, during the same life of a proceeding, if for lack of a better term, you want to change the baton, hand over the baton, and then do something else which was not particularly politically wise. I didn't think it was a sensible legislative act at all. Unless, of course, he had suggested that he was well and was not going to continue. But clearly, to see through the gimmick